Yeah, so for those who know me or may not know me, I'm Bryan Rosensteel. I'm the APL over in Charlottesville in the Virginia region. I've been doing a lot of the virtual sessions. Primarily, we've done virtual flight time, but we've also done general information. And so we set up tonight to kind of go through, okay, what's my process? What technology am I using, and how can you leverage it? And you don't necessarily need fancy setups. I'll show you how you can do things. I primarily use YouTube, but how you can get away through some simple software to even use a cell phone as a webcam if you need, if you don't have a webcam, and then of course how you can leverage your computer's webcam if you want to as well, in ways that you can maybe take your virtual sessions up to kind of the next level and really help your veterans and participants get more out of the sessions. So, I know some people are going to be joining as we go through this. So if you have any questions, let me know. I probably should be switching my screen so you guys can actually see me talking. So now you can actually see me. And this kind of gets us into, well, I guess I'll start showing my physical setup and just how I have my room environment set. And then what we'll do is we'll move into this software here, OBS Studio, and walk through, unless there's any questions. And interrupt me with questions. That I want this to be interactive. So let me go in, and I'll just start showing. This will be a little bit shaky, but this is the best way that I know of to actually show the physical environment. So let me walk behind my screen, and I'll show you the setup. So this is my fly tying desk that I have here. As you can tell, in this environment, I actually have a camera set up, and then I'll have two main lights. And what I'm doing is I'm controlling the light in my situation. Now, if you don't have, the lighting set up, if you don't have the camera, don't worry about it. I'm actually showing this video right now from my cell phone. So we'll talk about how I was able to set that up as a part of this. And then obviously you can also use, I'm running everything through my computer here. There's a webcam on the computer, and you can just use that as well. In fact, many of our first sessions when we got into this back in March were done using the webcam on that machine, and then later on added in technology. So if you can, using controlled lighting is very helpful because of the fact that you're trying to show a smaller environment. So this is the actual camera that I have. And this camera, we'll see here in just a moment, is connected via an HDMI cable. And so that's going to come over here. So I'm kind of showing where that input is on my camera. Most cameras have some sort of HDMI connection, most modern cameras. Even smaller point and shoots typically will have some type of connection, which allows you to connect to a capture card, which we'll see here in just a minute. And so, this is nice because this camera is a little bit higher quality, and it allows me to be zoomed in a little bit farther than I will with a regular webcam. So that's the capture card there. So once you have that set up, then you're able to actually stream your fly directly using that capture card. So I'm going to enable that, and I'll go through these settings here in just a minute. So that's my actual camera. This one doesn't have lag, so we'll stay away from the cell phone and that lagging for the rest of this, just because that was really annoying for everyone. But this is the primary setup that I'll use, and of course I have it right now set on an autofocus. So as I move around, it'll focus on my hand. You can kind of set it if you have a camera with manual focus, and if you want to set it, you can set it directly on the fly so it doesn't jump as much. But that's entirely up to you. I'm actually going to switch the mode on this real quick to make it less jumpy. There we go. That'll be less jumpy. I have the autofocus setting on this turned down slow. And we can talk about that too. So if you actually, have a camera like I have set up here, where it's a little bit of a higher quality camera, and you're using that to be able to show fine detail work on the fly, you know, set your autofocus speed to slower. So this is on its movie mode, and as such, that autofocus is set to slow, so it'll eventually get on my finger, but it'll take it a very long time to do so, and then it'll zoom back to that fly real slowly. So that's just a tip that I have there. So let's talk about, so we talked about physical setup. Let's talk about what I'm actually using through here, this program, right? We talked about OBS Studio. What this allows me to do is be a little bit harder to see on this screen. Hopefully you guys are viewing this on a computer screen or something a little bit larger. But there's something down here called sources. Let's see, can I make this bigger for everyone? Bring it up here. And, well, the text didn't get bigger, but you get the idea. So right now I have something called Airserver, Capture Card, I have Webex, and then I have Surface Pro Front. So I named these sources, and the way that you add a source is you come down here and you hit the add button, and then you can put in various different things. So if I want to put in a specific microphone input, I can. Right now I'm capturing everything just through the audio on my computer. If I want to do a display capture, I can as well. And so that is how I have display capture is what I use. So just click on it and you create new. And this system is pretty good at just finding what you're trying to grab and add. But that's how I've added the Airserver, the capture card, and the Webex. And the Surface Pro Front was something that it just auto-detected, hey, you have a built-in webcam on your machine. And so when you add a new source, then they're going to be layered. And from that layering, you'll see this little symbol. Looks almost like an eyeball. What that is this goes from the top down. If you click on the top source, that's what it'll show. So this is showing my cell phone that I was mirroring, right? So if I deselect that, now I'm on my capture card, which is my physical camera. So I'm gonna deselect that, and now we see my camera. So this is, you know, my Surface Pro. So when I do, especially when I do like a virtual fly tying session, primarily what I'm using is my capture card, where I want to say, hey, we're tying a fly, let's go through here, we'll talk about those steps. And then when I want to show materials, you know, whatever materials they may be, if it's going to be chenille, if I'm going to be talking about chips and tricks that I do to manipulate. So as an example here with my chenille, I cut a horizontal slit that allows me to have this material dangle and not come undone versus the slit that comes standard. If you're tying with this and that comes undone, then it'll tend to unravel on you. So if I'm trying to show tips and tricks like that, I'll use my actual webcam built into my computer because it's a wider screen. And so let me go ahead and bring this back down so it's out of the way. And then, you know, when I want to go back to the fly tying, all I do is I come in here to capture card, highlight, and I'm back on it. If you get more sophisticated, you can actually set these up in your keyboard commands, but you know, it is just as simple as selecting and deselecting. Now I have another one here, Webex. So that is something that I am currently running. There's a Cisco Webex meeting that I'm on, and there's a camera. You can actually see me in the reflection. See, there I am. And that is just simply, let me switch over to that meeting. So, oh, wrong one. There it is. So this is just a regular meeting. Now you can do this through your Microsoft Teams. You can do this through Zoom. You can do this obviously through Webex. I happen to have a Webex account, so and my company is fine with us using it for things like healing waters. And so that's the way that we can show meetings. Now the power of something like a Webex or a Zoom meeting, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this meeting now. Just because it'll reduce some lag for us. And yep, I'm going to end that meeting. Is So we'll give an example. If we go in the Teams, so here we can see Bill. Say, hi, Bill. And you know, we also have a couple other people on as well. Oh, you're muted, Bill.
I am.
So cool, right? So we got a couple other people on as well. So this is a way that you can do kind of an interview, or you can have you know, your various members come in, and then you can record it, and then afterwards, you know, you can post that up, and we'll show you how to post on YouTube here in just a second, or how to live stream to it. So the power of this is, if I was actually interviewing, I was saying, hey, Bill, what's your favorite fly for going after smallmouth? You can say something. No, you're still muted.
Okay, I would say Klaus, Red Foxy Minnow.
Cool. Right. So, and that's a really nice way of bringing in educational content. So we've been focusing a lot with our virtual sessions on fly tying, right? And that's kind of what I was showing in OBS Studio. But just doing something as having Microsoft Teams and getting a couple different people on, then you can show more variety of content. We're going to try in our for our program in Charlottesville. We haven't lined it up yet, but we're going to try to maybe get a rod building expert and see if we can get them to join. And so then they can show us, hey, this is how we do wrapping on an island, right? Or something like that. And you could have a session with your participants and be able to record that. We're recording this meeting here, and we're going to make sure that this gets posted. But you can have that streaming in a way that people can consume it. They can ask questions afterwards, or they could be a part of that video so that your experts can see, oh, I see you're trying to wrap this way. Try it this other way. And we know that this is also how things on Facebook are done as well. But obviously we're not streaming to Facebook here. Okay, so let me switch back over to OBS Studio, because we started talking about streaming now, and this is the next part. So what I said is I always stream through YouTube. So let's go back through, right? We talked about the physical room setup, where I've got a couple different lights. I've got a camera over here that I'm using to go ahead and be able to show fly tying. By the way, if I was doing rod building, I would be able to show a close-up on that as well. We talked about how we can control that and create those in OBS Studio, and there are good tutorials online for this as well. We talked a little bit about bringing in like Webex, Microsoft Teams, and show multiple people, but the last part about this is, how do you stream this to something like what I use, YouTube, and then what are one of the benefits of using YouTube? So if I'm going to pull up my YouTube account right now. And so I have a channel here, VA Fly Tying, non-monetized, never will be monetized. And this actually is something that I've used to supplement our programs. So we have about 16 patterns, and I've been working to build a video library for that we use for our local Healing Waters program here in Charlottesville. And so, you know, parachute, dry flies on that, a caddis, an egg pattern, a couple others as well are all on this, right? We have a foam beetle that we do. There's some others in here too that kind of people have requested that I've put video tutorials for. So the point of this was always, hey, here is something that you can consume that can supplement and enhance what we show you in person in the meetings. Now, obviously, we're not doing in-person meetings, so we also in YouTube have this ability of doing a live program. So you can see here, we've done a couple of them now during this, and we primarily have done our fly time, but we also, as an example, I'll bring up this video. We did one where we actually reached out to a couple different experts, and I won't play it, but you know, we had a Matt will be very upset because I paused it at a perfect place for him. So Matt Riley is a guide in Southern Virginia, and we were really talking to him about, hey, fly fishing gear and techniques and when and how to target various species, including muskie and smallmouth. We had another industry expert from the Virginia region join us, Andy Slauson, and then obviously Jeff and I from the Charlottesville program. And we're actually fortunate that, one of our volunteers, Jeff, is very knowledgeable in things like fishing from a kayak and saltwater fishing and those things. So, this was an example of us using Webex just to do general information content, kind of as part of our core program offering. And we're going to be doing more of this as we move forward as well. So it's not just fly time, but something that people can get information from. The last thing that I want to say before we go in and actually show how to stream the video is the reason why our program chose YouTube. And of course, it's something that I think every program needs to decide. What platform do you want to use to share? Do you want to use Facebook? Do you want to use YouTube or some of the others that are out there? In our area, we have some veterans who can't use Facebook, or it's strongly suggested that they don't use Facebook. They're actually still working in certain environments where those types of social media outlets are not things that a lot of them are willing to have. We have some others that get a lot of anxiety from it as well. And so they purposely try to avoid it. So we wanted something that you could consume on any type of media device. And in fact, I know I have some people will tune in every week and watch on their smart TV. They'll pull up YouTube and they'll pull up that week's videos and they just watch it on their TV. And obviously they're not signing in and they're not asking questions as a part of it. And YouTube does have the ability of having questions that you can type in live. But they're able to consume it anonymously, but still be able to get that content. And then of course they can reach out via, I offer up for those participants that I know don't sign in, they can text me directly any questions that they have, or they can always email us or ask, questions in a different manner. So when I go to create a new video, what I do is I come up here, and of course I'm in the YouTube studio in your YouTube account. I go to create, and I'm going to click on go live. So this brings up a different section of YouTube Studio. And on our left-hand side here, or I'm going to dismiss this because I want to show this. We have a couple different options for streaming. So we just have a basic stream, and what this is doing is saying, hey, whatever your last settings were, I'm going to reuse those. So that's not really helpful for us for today's purposes. But we also have one called Webcam. And what this is going to do is YouTube is going to see, it's yelling at me because my camera is being used right now by OBS Studio. But that would allow me to set it up where I can stream just using the webcam on my computer. Stream is the one that is going to allow me to leverage something like OBS Studio to manage the camera portion of my website. So let me give this as an example. So let's put this in this task. You have a couple different options here. I'm going to put this in as unlisted because I don't want anyone who's subscribed to this channel and my participants jumping on and being utterly confused as to what's happening, because we did not tell our participants that we were doing this event tonight. You can choose here to add in the description. So usually I will put in a fly tying description or whatever the event may be. Hey, we're doing a Webex with some industry experts, so on and so forth, or rod building, what have you. And then the next part here, and this is one that I find very valuable, is scheduling for later. So I'll schedule this now. Our region, we always do it on a Tuesday, and we start at 6:30 Eastern. By the way, if you're watching this and you want to join us, you're always welcome to join. Right now, we're on a second and fourth Tuesday schedule, but anyone from any region is welcome to jump on. And here I can actually upload a thumbnail if I want. So, I can grab that thumbnail that I've already taken. This was one of the flies that we actually tied in an earlier session.
YouTube is going to ask you about videos being made for kids. This is a COPA requirement. We are not, our program is not targeting kids, so we say no, it's not made, and then we're able to create the stream. So pretty simple to kind of walk through that. And then you get into this screen. So remember, we did the stream option. If we did the webcam option, all we would see is the ability to go live. We wouldn't see these stream settings. These stream settings are important for OBS Studio. So again, you get that by setting up your stream with this stream setting. And then we'll see a couple different pieces of data down here. Now, the ones that I want to touch on, stream latency. So if you know that you have a poor internet connection, then you may want to do a normal latency. Or if you have a very fast internet connection, then you can go to low or even ultra low latency. We have found that upload, and that's what you need. So let me, so upload speeds are, we think, more critical than download. And, we found having at least 15 megabits per second, MBS, is critical. And if you're not sure what it is, you can always ask, your local internet provider, hey, what is my current speed? Or you can run a speed test. You can go to something like speedtest.net, and you can run your internet speed there to see what it is. But upload speed is what's important. All right. So at this here, we have an auto-generated key, and then we have a stream URL, and then we have a backup server URL. So these are important. These are what are going to allow you to connect your OBS Studio to your YouTube account. And we do that by going over here to settings. So I'm in controls all the way over here on the right-hand side, down to settings. You can also do this if you come up here to the top and you hit file, you can go to settings as well. Either way gets you to the same control area. When the settings come up, you're going to see a bunch of different options here, but the one that's pertinent to us is stream. So the cool thing is that OBS Studio kind of already knows what the service and the server are for YouTube. You just select from the drop down here and you say YouTube. I always, YouTube Gaming. It's the same for your service. And then your server, you can put primary YouTube ingest server, or you can put a backup server, but the primary is just fine. Those correspond to the stream URL and the backup server URL. So you don't actually need to copy these pieces if you're using a program like OBS Studio. If you're using a different program, then you'll need those keys. Now, the real thing that's important right here is the stream key. This stream key is what's going to be the linkage between your OBS Studio and the YouTube account that you're streaming to. And that stream key is going to be unique for every video. So every video that I create, I will have a unique stream key, and I can just click copy. And then I can paste that into OBS Studio. And so now, this is set that if I start streaming, it's going to stream to that specific YouTube video that we've created. And to start streaming, it's just as simple as coming down here in controls and hitting start streaming. So we've hit that. And now we'll see here, it takes a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds. There is a lag between OBS Studio and YouTube. It's about a 10-second, 15-second lag. So just be aware of that. But you can see that the preview is here. However, we are not actually streaming. And we won't stream. YouTube will not stream until you click go live. And I prefer to do this because you can set it up where it auto starts, but I prefer it so I can actually look through here, make sure everything's working. Okay, it tells me that the stream's in excellent condition. And then when I'm ready, I can go ahead, I can click go live. And once I've done that, YouTube Studio will change its screen here in just a minute to where now I can see the live chat coming in from anyone that's asking any questions. I can see what the screen is looking like. And again, it's telling me that it's in a good condition. And at this point, I'm ready to kind of go back here and actually run my live stream. Where I'll be talking to people, showing them if I want to show them materials, being able to go through everything that we talked about and be able to stream, those various pieces of content. So that was a lot of information. Hopefully it was semi-organized. I know I bounced around a little bit, so I kind of appreciate your patience, and hopefully it was something that was helpful. I kind of want to take a break. I know we have a couple people that are on. If there's anything you need clarification for or any questions that you may have for those who have joined the Webex team session, feel free to ask them now, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Or, we've got a couple other experts on as well, right? So, if there's anything you think I missed or that you want to add, feel free to do it, because I don't want to be the only talking box here, or talking head, I should say. I got silence. Bill, did that make sense? Was there any questions or anything that you wanted to see that could be more clear?
No, it's all really technical to me, Bryan. So I've been trying to follow along, but I think I'd rather just sit in the audience and listen and try to learn. It's a lot of stuff to learn and to take in at one time. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of fantastic tutorials that are out there, right? Don't rely on just me. So if I just go back into, I forgot to end my stream from earlier, so YouTube's yelling at me. If I go into just regular YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And I type in OBS Studio as an example. Hey, I want to use that. I have a capture card so that I can be closer if I want to tie like a dry fly or something. It's really hard to do that on a webcam. So I want to come in here and learn more about it. So I'll type in OBS Studio, and there are a ton of tutorials that you can use.
There's a beginner's guide. Yeah.
Yeah. Great sources of information that are out there. And then obviously, reach out to some of your other programs.
Right.
For those of you here in the Virginia region, if you don't have my contact, I know Bill does, and I'm happy to try to help. But we also have, I've learned a lot too. I see Dan's on, and I've learned things from him as well. And I'm going to, shout out to and give you kind of thanks for some of the things that we talked about very early on back in March when we were talking about going live and doing the streaming. And actually, Dan, too, if there's anything that you want to add, because I know that you are kind of.
I don't think Dan is on, Bryan.
Dan isn't on?
Are you referring to David Folker?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just
David's
saw.
Here.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I thought Dan had joined us.
He did briefly. I think he hadn't dropped off, so he probably gets a lot of phone calls this time of night from other here from the field too. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen him on, so never mind. Anyway, I know he's a good source of information as well. But David, did that make sense? Do you have any questions?
No, it makes sense. Your setup here is definitely going to be for the more advanced and more tech savvy guys.
Correct.
And those that can do it, run with it, make it happen. But for a lot of the entry level guys, it's going to take a while for them to get up to this level. And most of them are just going to use either a smartphone or even a laptop with a basic document cam type of thing. And they won't use OBS. They'll just use the Facebook live stream or YouTube live stream directly through those cameras. But this is definitely taken it to the next level. And for those that can do that, it's great, and we should definitely encourage it. And if possible, I'd like to list you, Bryan, as a possible, because I'm trying to finish up a document that gives more guidance on how to set things up. If I could list you as a resource that people could reach out to that want to go to the next level and how to set up, the higher tier level. We basically have like 3 tier levels that we're trying to develop here. Like tier 1 would be just using your iPhone or your laptop or tablet that you already own. And then tier 2 would be a little bit more advanced things that you connect up to your laptop. And then tier 3 is like using your OBS and all of your multi-cameras type of thing. So if I could use you as somebody that could give advice to other programs that want to go to the extra top level of how to stream, I'd appreciate it.
No, absolutely. In fact, more than happy to.
Okay.
We went through this, right? We started, and I think this is important too, because you see us here in the Charlottesville program, and they get the multi-camera setup. I don't know if I can get to that. I literally started with like a almost overhead work light in a garage for week 1 when back in March. And then I'm like, okay, I got to have better lighting. And, ended up getting where I was just bringing in every light that I can. So let me make it so that you can see my my screen or me. So, we went to the next level where literally I had like, a lamp trying to get my light better. And as we went through and we said, okay, this is going to be something that we're going to be sustained, and it's going to be continuing longer than any of us thought. That's when I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and for me, I've I have quite a lot of equipment in this room that you're not currently seeing. I work for an IT company, and I'm like, all right, I love doing this stuff. Let me go ahead and I'll grab some lighting that I want to be able to use to be able to better light the fly tying equipment or whatever we're doing. That's when we started, week by week, kind of testing and going through. So you're seeing us at week 17, week 18, where we've been doing this. So we went through every tier. We started on the webcam, the very webcam that you're currently seeing me through, not in OBS, directly streaming in YouTube. Then we brought in OBS just because it allowed us to do things like zooming in. And I haven't shown that, but there is a way that you can zoom. And I won't bother to show that right now. It's a little bit more technical. But that allowed me to zoom in slightly with the webcam to make the picture better. And then obviously, we went to where we got a capture card and we just had the better camera. And then we learned, okay, this is how we can do, bringing in Webex, doing multi-camera setup so that, as we talk, we can switch them through. And I haven't talked about the Airserver. That is a specific program. I'm not sure that it is great for virtual program. I put it on just so I could walk around and show all the setup. But that is a program that I'm running here. It's actually called Airserver Windows 10. On Windows, you could look for it called Reflector if you're running a Macintosh setup. And that allows you to connect a phone as another source. The reason why that might be, if you don't have a webcam on your computer and you are looking to leverage YouTube, my YouTube account, because we only have a handful of subscribers, and it's not something that I've ever wanted to promote because it is something that we're going to continue to do even beyond this. We were using it before COVID hit. We're going to be using it after COVID hit as supplemental material that, while we're not, meeting in person, when we go back to meeting in person, let me switch my camera so you can see me. It's something that we can say, hey, when you go home, that fly that we just tied. Well, there's a video that I did the same instructions that I did in the class, you can go and see it again, so you can tie it at home if you want to, right? So that's the reason why we're using that program. But so you can use your phone to stream directly to YouTube through the YouTube app, only if you have over a certain number of subscribers. Although I don't know if that'll end up getting waived or not by YouTube. They change things monthly.
Yeah.
But you have to have 1,000 subscribers to do it. So that's why we use the webcam on a physical computer, just because, you know, I don't have that many subscribers, and I'm not trying to. You know, this is something that's to benefit veterans. It's not something that I'm trying to build to a wide audience.
I think one of the, I guess, things we've been forced to do is innovate, especially in regards to the virtual programming. And many of our programs, I think, Todd, we talked about it, and I know a lot of the RCs have talked about it, that whenever the time comes when we do, quote unquote, go back to normal and running regular programs, that the virtual side of things is going to be there, and they want it to continue to be a part of the ongoing regular program activities to augment and help enhance what we do on an ongoing basis. So I think continue to develop a group of volunteers that become experts at this, that we can rely on to help, you know, others in Project Healing Waters continue to grow and learn how to do this better. Is it going to be a big part of what we're going to be developing going forward? So I'm excited about it, and definitely appreciate, Bryan, what your enthusiasm, what you've been able to do with this. This is awesome.
Yeah, and then you know, Bill, I know that you know, the next question that we've had from people is about funding, and you know, because some of these things, you know, can run a little bit of money. I know we're fortunate in the Virginia region that we do have some money coming in to help support this, but I think there's some money out there nationally too. Is that correct?
Correct. We have a grant from Woodruff Foundation to support virtual programming for fly tying, but a part of that grant is for audiovisual equipment. So we do have money there, but it has to go through all your program budgets that you already have in place. But if you need to request additional funding, that's something you just need to run through your RC and then get with Todd and Terry for approval for the budget increase.
Yeah, and you know, you can do this, you know, if you, like you said, from a tier one perspective, you know, the where we started was just a webcam.
Yeah.
Those webcams aren't very expensive. So if you have a computer but you don't have a webcam, you know, you can get one for definitely under 100 and even under 50.
Yeah.
And they'll work well. And then, you know, obviously a capture card. I know I've seen them between like 60 and like 150, depending. Obviously, you know, the one I bought, and I bought it for personal use as well, you know, has inputs for an external microphone and things like that. But you certainly don't need that. You know, you just need something that can pull in a feed from an HDMI from your camera, and then that's going to allow you to get that kind of images that, you know, I was showing.
Yeah. Well, we're also finding out a lot of programs are completely satisfied with just using their smartphone or just using their webcam off their laptop, and their needs are completely met with that. They're not interested in going any further than that, which is fine. But for those that do want to provide even higher production, I think we do need to encourage them to at least consider adding additional things and providing resources and instruction on how to do that.
Well, you know, I don't want to make this video longer than it needs to be. Are there any other questions or anything that any of you guys wanted to cover before we kind of stop the recording and end it? And obviously, you know, I've already volunteered. Hey, if people have questions, you know, feel free to reach out and I'll answer them as quickly as I can. And obviously, you guys are putting together some resources for all the programs to be able to consume as well, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, if there any other questions, or anything that you guys want to, since we are recording this, kind of say before we end it, I'll kind of leave it up to you.
Yeah, Brian, this is Todd. Just wanted to thank you again. I'll just echo David's comments. I appreciate your enthusiasm and also lending your expertise in your profession over to help us kind of build these virtual core activities out within the regions. The COVID-19 demands clearly were not expected when we did our budgets last year, so we're clearly going to be able to augment the budgets with additional revenue that we need to purchase things that we didn't plan for. Number one, because we should, and number two, as David said, we intend to keep the virtual core program activities in place for regular meetings when the time comes for us to be able to have the face-to-face meetings again. Whenever that is. This will allow people who are sick or who can't make it to the meeting for some reason to participate virtually from wherever they are, whether that's work or something that came up. So it's going to add additional capacity for us to deliver the great, the great healing programs that we have to help our participants with their physical and emotional recovery, which is what we're all about. So this is fantastic. We have some technology that we've identified, and the program leads can coordinate that with the RC. If that requires additional funding for the programs, then we'll figure out how to get that down to the programs so that we can deliver more of this to the across the nation. Participants can also join in other program activities through the virtual links as well. So that's something to point out, that within Virginia, you could have people from other programs potentially joining in on your presentation as well, and maybe even some volunteers to learn, by watching how other volunteer leaders present their material. So this is something that's a fantastic team effort across the whole organization. And I appreciate everybody's commitment to our cause and the dedication to really pivot. Made a hard pivot in March, and we were able to keep engaged, with our volunteers and participants through these activities. And this is a volunteer organization, and the volunteers are the heart and soul of Project Healing Waters. And you're doing fantastic, just fantastic work out there. And, the 5 words that we hear the most are, "This program saved my life." And, nothing more remarkable come out of it than that. I had a conversation with our founder yesterday afternoon, Ed Nicholson. Told him what we were doing. He just wanted me to convey his thanks and appreciation to everybody as well. He started this Project Healing Water, over a decade ago. And, I don't really know that he expected it would be as big as it is right now, but I'm sure glad that he did start it, and it's turned into just an amazing organization. So again, thank you, all of you, for your commitment to our cause.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. I mean, that's, I think all of us volunteers kind of feel the same way. We're glad to be a part of an organization like this that can, try to help those who, some of them that save lives. And it's just a privilege to be able to contribute and help in any way with those. So.
All right.
Well, hey, thanks everyone for joining in. Todd, David, Bill, thank you very much for joining. And, we'll go ahead and stop the recording now.